Okay, this is the beginning of closing lesson 3. My name is Jim McCloskey. And let's go to closing number 5. Closing number 5. You're going to walk out of here today a lot better shape than when you walked out of here yesterday, knowing this stuff, okay?
You sure about that?
Oh yeah, you really will. Okay, closing number 5, and of course go to the next page into the box. We're going to start with the box. Everybody there? So, we have the new loan amount. Now, guys, on the state exam, they're not going to ask you what line anything goes on. The only line they're going to expect you to know is this one. What do you do with a new loan amount in a new loan closing? It's line 3, credit buyer. Line 3, credit buyer. Like all of these here, I could just say, okay guys, do this closing, I'll see you in an hour. You spend half that time just trying to figure out what lines everything goes on, and you don't need to know that. The main thing you need to know where the debits are, where the credits are, and that's your main focus when it comes to the number of lines. We could just go from line 1 to 25 and just go like that if we wanted to, but we're not. We're going to sit here and just go over which every line is so that you can relate it to an actionable event within closing. So let's start with that $103,400. That's line 3, credit buyer. Doing closing number 5, guys, just coming in.
I don't have a blank sheet.
You don't have a blank one?
I don't either.
Well, come on up here, I've got some extras. At least I did yesterday.
Yeah.
You do? Kelsey, you need to...
Come on. Well, I had a bunch of them.
Or I'll get a blank one out of mine and make
Well,
copies.
yeah, let me go to get Jennifer to make a bunch of it.
I was talking about the chart thing. Yes, Mom, but I don't know. She handed me my bag.
Yeah, well,
Right.
you don't need that anyway.
Jennifer's making copies.
$100,400. Morning. And double check in there, guys. You probably have a blank one there. You just haven't seen it. It's going to be right after closing number 5. You're going to have your filled out one and a blank one.
Mine was in the front. Mine was in the front. So it was kind of-
Okay, could be in the front too. Okay. So pull out that blank one, you do have one. It might be before it, might be before it begins or after it ends on 5.
Oh, I get a good reference.
And so, here we go, starting over again. We have the net loan amount, $103,400, credit buyer, line 3. Then we have the payoff of the existing loan. How much is still owed? Who's going to be paying this?
The buyer?
This is how much is still owed on the property.
Broker.
The broker? No, we're not going to be paying off that loan. The seller. Yeah, the seller's going to be paying that. This is how much is still owed on the property, guys. And that's going to be on line 5, a debit seller single entry for $75,771.75. Everybody there? Then we have a loan origination fee of $1,034 and loan discount. Notice that both of those are 1% of the loan amount. And it doesn't tell us what to do with those. Anybody could pay those. Those are negotiable. Let's go back to the previous fact sheet on the previous page and look at paragraph number 2 in the fact sheet, about the 5th paragraph from the top. Buyer shall apply for and obtain a new conventional loan in the amount of $103,400, 6.75% interest per annum for 30 years, with monthly payments, $670, and the buyers per contract are agreeing to pay their lender a 1% loan origination fee and a 1% loan discount fee. So we got this payment in both sides. It's in the fact sheet and in the box. When that happens, the box rules. It's going to be a single entry, and they say the buyers are paying for both of these. Good, thank you. There they are, guys. Everybody needs any. So, on line 27 and line 28, we're going to debit the buyer. Debit the buyer $1,034 on line 27 and on line 28. Let's talk about this a little bit. First of all, guys, when you go to a closing, neither the lender nor the broker has any fees in a perfect world, okay? The lender passes along their fees to the borrower. And we never have any fees as a broker. Now, I've had several closings where I've had to get on my checkbook to make it happen. You do whatever you have to do to close it. I've never been to a closing where it didn't close. But in a perfect world, the broker never pays for anything, and neither does the lender. Because if there's any cost to that lender, they just pass along to the borrower. It's kind of common sense, right? And then we have the owner's title insurance premium. On line 7, it's the owners or sellers, either one. This is the big one, the expensive one. $538 on line 7, debit seller, single entry. Debit seller, single entry. $538. Then the mortgagee, who's that? Who's the mortgagee again? The lender is the mortgagee, and they have a title policy also, and that's on line 7, debit buyer 75, single entry. Debit buyer 75, single entry. Now, we just had the seller pay $538. Why does that lender need a policy?
In case something happens to them, so they don't fall on the loan.
No.
So they can pay it off, right? In case if someone died or...
It's the reserve.
No, that's the reserve and stuff.
Oh.
No, this is for the title insurance policy. Remember, the lender's going to go up to the borrowers and say, Joe, Mary, the seller's just paid for a seller's title policy to make sure that your house is marketable, and they paid $538 for it. We need one also. And the reason we need one as a lender is because we're going to sell your loan to the secondary market. We're going to sell it to Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie, or Farmer Mac, the secondary market. That's what the secondary market does. They buy notes from banks, not credit unions, but banks. And Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie, and Farmer Mac will not touch this loan unless it's in first position. And so you're going to have to give us another insurance policy to make sure that that's the case. Now you can go out and spend $538 for one just like the seller just got, or else you can get a spin-off policy off of that seller. Get a spin-off policy for $75. What do you want to do? It's such a no-brainer, they don't even ask. It just shows up on your closing statement as 2 different title policies. And don't be surprised if someone at that table asks why there's 2 title policies. And you know what? You're the only one sitting there who's going to know. You're going to be looking really good.
I will be so excited at that closing table, I'm not going to remember anything.
There you go. Let's talk about that for a minute. You're going to your first closing, guys, and it's intimidating. You're a new kid, and you're a rookie. Your first, second, third closing, they're intimidating. And remember, closings are fun. They're the high point of your week. Hopefully you'll have several every week. But what's going to happen is you're going to walk in there, and the first thing you want to do, the closing lady who's putting all these figures together is in the back room doing it. You usually close at a title company. You can close anywhere. I've closed loans at the school here, but at the same time, you can have closings done typically at a title company, and if that's the case, I get my stuff in the closing room. Always get there early, get there 20, 30 minutes early, get your stuff on the table in the conference room, and then go up to the receptionist and say, so who's our closer today? Say, oh, it's Julie, Max, whatever, and say, thank you. And then don't ask permission, go into the back room, because Julie's back there putting all this together, and introduce yourself and say, Julie, my name's Jim McCloskey, and I hate to bother you, but this is my first closing, and I'm really nervous. And if I make any mistakes, can you kind of cover for me? Do you know what's going to happen to her mothering instincts when you tell her that? She is going to make you look so good at that table. If you make a mistake, she's going to cover it for you. But if you don't and you make a mistake, you're going to be standing out like a sore thumb. And go back and introduce yourself and then leave. 30 seconds and you're gone, because she's busy. She doesn't have time to visit. But I do that on every one of my closings, even now. I don't say it's my first closing, but I can introduce myself and say, and whoever she is, whether I know her or not, I say, boy, I'm so glad we have you today as our closer, and just want to say hello, and I'll see you in 15 minutes, or whatever. And I'm out of there. What does that do? They're one of the most underappreciated people in our industry, and they're some of the most hard-working people in our industry, too. So give them the honor and respect they deserve, and they're going to make you look good in there. And so what happens? We're on closing 5. And so what happens, guys, you then sit down at the closing table. Now I'm the borrower. And I go in, and the first thing I sign is a promissory note. That's the money. The promissory note is the evidence of the debt. If you don't sign that promissory note, that closing comes to a screeching halt. Now, if it's a cash deal, you don't have one. But most of your deals aren't going to be cash deals. And so, first thing that you will sign is a promissory note, your agreement to pay. That's the money. And then the next thing you sign is the deed of trust, which is the security for that money. Remember, your deed of trust is the property. And that deed of trust goes to the lender, and that gives the lender the right to put a lien on the property. Gives the lender the right to put a lien on the property. And so we signed the promissory note, which is the money, the evidence of the debt. We've signed the deed of trust, which gives security for that loan. Now, the lender feels comfortable to give us the deed. And we actually own that property from that moment when there's been 2 words, delivery and acceptance. They delivered it and I accepted it. Now I own that property. I don't own it when it's recorded. I own it right then and there. I walk out of that closing room owning that property. So I've signed a promissory note, I've signed a deed of trust, now I get the deed. Now the last missing link is the title insurance policy, because that deed may or may not tell me what I just purchased. But that deed with the title insurance policy, I've got a pretty good idea what I just purchased. So those are the 4 main functions. The first 4 things you do at a closing as a borrower, those 4 things. I say if it's a cash deal, you're not going to do the first 2. But you're definitely going to do the last 2. Don't you guys ever buy a property or allow your people to buy a property without a title insurance policy. Without that, they don't know what they're buying, and neither do you. So, let's continue here. We have the recording fees, a warranty deed. How many deeds have warranties? 2. And what are they? What are the 2 deeds?
Special warranty.
special warranty deed, and a
General warranty.
general warranty deed. And what is a warranty definition again? A covenant, a promise, a warranty. That's what a warranty deed is. Yeah.
Do you mind explaining what the 5 of the special are?
Okay, let's back up. The question is, shall I explain the 5 of the special? And the answer is no, I won't. Because there's only 2. Okay? There's only 2 on a special warranty deed. There's 5 on what, Austin?
The general.
General warranty deed has 5, the special warranty deed only has 2. And the special warranty deed says, yes, I received a deed, and no, I've done nothing to damage the deed since I've owned it. I only warranty it for the time I've owned it. That's the kind of deed you're going to get from a developer, typically, is a special warranty deed. Now let's go over the 5 warranties in a general warranty deed. Let's bring this up to another level, guys. What is that first thing we get, whether we're leasing, whether we're purchasing, whether we're working with a deed of trust, no matter what we're working with, the first issue is possession. Remember, possession is 9 points of the law, which means 90% of all laws deal with possession. Not just possession of real estate, but there's laws protecting my ownership of this marker. And that's what it is, rights of possession. 90% of all laws deal with possession. And in a general warranty deed, that first covenant, that first warranty is called season. S-I-E-S-E-N, you can spell it with Z, spell it any way you want to. And that means possession. It means when I'm transferring to you, I have the right to transfer. On the state exam, there's a question that says, when we're dealing with the word season, we're talking about a general warranty deed. And that's the first warranty, the warranty of season, which means possession. The second covenant is a covenant against encumbrances. Covenant against encumbrances. What's the definition of an encumbrance?
Limiting use.
Anything that limits our use,
Value.
title interest, or value. Anything that limits our use, title interest, or value is an encumbrance. And so the second covenant is a covenant against encumbrances, except those encumbrances that are mentioned in the deed or the title policy, because every property has encumbrances. Every property has zoning or setbacks or something. Virtually every property everywhere does. The one exception is Houston. Houston, Texas has no zoning. Isn't that something? And there's more people in Houston than the whole state of Colorado, and it works pretty darn well. So, but again, generally speaking, every property has encumbrances that limit our use. And what would limit our title interest? Anything having to do with money, any type of lien, limits our title interest. What limits our value? I'm next to a busy street, I'm next to a light rail, I'm next to a train track, something like that. Anything that limits my use, title interest, or value is an encumbrance. So that's the second covenant in the general warranty deed. Covenant against encumbrances except those mentioned in the deed or title policy. The third is quiet enjoyment. Quiet enjoyment. And in a general warranty deed, we're going to look at 3 different definitions of quiet enjoyment. One deals with the quiet enjoyment in the bundle of rights. The other one is the quiet enjoyment in a lease. Then we have the quiet enjoyment in a general warranty deed, which is totally different than the other 2. In a general warranty deed, what that quiet enjoyment means, it's a protection against any third-party interest that says they have an interest other than what I'm transferring to you. And that will protect your quiet enjoyment of this property with the 4th covenant of further assurance. Not insurance, assurance. I'll provide whatever documents I have to. I'll even go to court. And the last one is the biggie. I warranty it forever in the past, which subsequently warrants it forever in the future. Covenant of season. Covenant against encumbrances, except those mentioned in the deed or title policy. Quiet enjoyment, protection from third party. which I will enforce and protect you with the covenant of further assurance. I'll provide whatever documents I have to even go to court. And the fifth covenant is warranty forever. The title company actually goes back to a root date, usually 40 years is how far back it goes. Now, a title policy, guys, like Renee was in here yesterday, and I did a deal last week. How did that work? The people had bought the property, and now they were refinancing it. Oh, no, they weren't. They were actually selling it. And what happens, guys, that if all the title company will insure is back to the last time title was pulled. And so if you sell it within 5-7 years, usually they give you a heck of a good price on it, because they're only going to go back that far, and there's less liability for them, plus they're the ones who did that title before. A lot of them, title companies, no matter what title company did it, they will give you a heck of a break if you're doing a title policy within 5 or 7 years of when the last time you did it. Remember, that guy's going to save you some money and save your people some money too. The one I was doing last week, the people were quoted by the title company some like $1,500 for the title policy. And I got on the phone, and I said, with the lender, I said, and the title company too, and I said, no. I said, these people just bought this home 3 years ago. And they said, oh, okay, we didn't know that. And all of a sudden it went from $1,500 down to about $700. So knowing that really is helpful. So don't think your people are going to remember I did that for them? Remember those kind of things, guys.
Does the title policy get more expensive over time?
How so?
So let's say I didn't get a title policy for whatever reason, and I wait 15 years. Would it cost me $3,000 then, or $700?
The question is, what if I don't get a title policy, and then 10 years later I want to get a title policy? Why would I want to get one then? If I didn't get one when I first bought the property, why would I want to get one 10 years from now? Is there a question with the title? And if I pull up the title and find out that there was an issue before I bought it, it's not covered because I did not buy a title insurance policy. So that's what I mean, guys. You always, always, always don't even think about doing a property, whether for yourself, your family, your friends, your clients, without a title insurance policy. Title insurance is the rarest of all insurances because it insures things that happened in the past. Every other policy you get will insure you for things that might happen in the future. Kind of interesting. Okay. So then we have the recording this warranty deed with how many covenants?
5.
5 covenants. We'll assume it's a general warranty deed. And that's on line 11, $6, debit buyer, single entry. Then we have recording of the deed of trust. Line 12, $36, debit buyer. What is the difference between a deed and a deed of trust? Or is there a difference?
The deed of trust is for the lender to hold as security, and a deed is the actual property.
Kind of. Real close. The deed is the instrument of transfer that transfers the ownership to me. That's what a deed is, that piece of paper. The deed of trust is the property itself that the lender uses as security for that deed that I just got. The deed of trust is the property, is the security for the debt, is what a deed of trust is. The deed is my instrument of ownership. Then we have a release on line 13, debit who? The seller. Remember, release, seller, the S sound, guys, on line 13. You're going to have that on the exam. Don't miss it. Easy one. Release, seller. And that's on line 13, debit seller, $16, single entry. Dock fee, line 15, $11.49. What did this home sell for? Very good, very good. You hear that, guys? $114,900. The documentary fee is 1/10,000th of the sales price, right? And what's the purpose of the documentary fee?
For appraisal. Sorry, for tax assessment.
Proper tax assessment, proper tax assessment. What's the form they use to report it to the county?
TD 1000,
And what's the purpose of a TD 1000?
proper tax assessment.
Proper tax assessment. There we go, guys. Gonna smile when you see those? Okay, don't let them get you. Then we have the appraisal fee on line 31. Debit buyer for $325, single entry on line 31. I think I told you guys that for 12 years I had the biggest appraisal firm in Colorado. And what my biggest problem was collecting my fee. I did thousands of appraisals for refinances. And many times, those mortgage brokers would say, okay, guys, don't pay for your appraisal till closing. Well, if it didn't close, I didn't get paid. And this happened many, many times. They passed a new law. What is the penalty if you don't pay for your appraisal? You have to write this down. If you don't pay for your appraisal, when you die, you go straight to hell. Remember that. Nothing to mess around with. They actually did change the law where servicers, whether it's an appraiser or an inspector or a surveyor, you have to get paid within 30 days of service. So, but we are not, all of us in real estate are not part of the lien statute rules in Colorado. And because of that, if we don't get paid for a real estate brokerage fee, the seller stiffs us, we can't put a lien on that property. We just have to sue him. We're not part of the lien statute in Colorado. Appraisers aren't, inspectors aren't. The only ones that are, for some reason, are surveyors. They snuck under the radar somehow. They can put a lien on a property, but we can't. We just have to sue them. We have the survey and credit report, $90 and $70. Let's add those together and put it on line 30. On line 30. A survey and credit report, $90 and $70 is $160 on line 30. Debit buyer. What's that credit report called in real life? A what? What? I can't hear you. One more time.
It's not a FICO score.
Not a FICO score. That's their after is the FICO score. What is a credit report called? It's called a tri-merge. A tri-merge. Because they're getting the 3 reporting agencies. What are the 3 reporting agencies? Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Good. And it costs $29.50 for a tri-merge to get a report from all 3. And you tell your people, you're going to go in tomorrow and get your loan app, you're going to be paying for 2 things tomorrow. What are they? The appraisal and the tri-merge. And the tri-merge. Okay. Tax reserves. This is 7 months for the tax reserves on line 19. This is what the lender's requiring the borrower to put into an escrow account. On line 19, debit buyer, $558.25. Then we have the, what the heck's PMI? What the heck is PMI?
Insurance only.
What is this, what's PMI? Why do they call it PMI? What's that stand for? Private Mortgage Insurance. What type of loan is this if we have PMI?
Conventional.
Conventional loan. And why do we have it?
Because we don't pay up to the.
Because you paid less than 80 for 20% down.
Less than 20% down, so you have private mortgage insurance, and this is on a conventional loan. What is an FHA loan, Cheryl? MIP.
Oh,
mortgage insurance premium.
okay, because.
Same letters, just to screw us up, okay? So you have private mortgage insurance, that's conventional. MIP, mortgage insurance premium, that's FHA,
Okay.
Federal Housing Administration. Any questions on that? And we cover this many times, guys. You'll be an expert at lending when you're done with this course. And then that's a private mortgage insurance on line 23, $37.91, debit buyer. And right below it, hazard insurance reserve for 1 month on line 24 for $37.91. On line 24, 23 and 24, the same amount. And then we have the prepaid interest on the loan. Remember, they're always just going to give that to us. On line 29, debit buyer, $38.24. Then we add all those up, it comes to $79,000 and change. We subtract it from the $103,000, then we have that net loan proceeds. We just write that in on line 38. Net loan proceeds, guaranteed question on the state exam. How do you handle that? Debit broker, single entry. Debit broker, single entry for the net loan proceeds. You have net loan proceeds, and then we have something just to confuse us, net sales proceeds. Net sales proceeds is the amount that the seller is walking away with. That's the net sales proceeds. The net loan proceeds has to do with the loan itself, and this money goes back to the lender. Net sales proceeds is what the seller's walking away with.
Do we write that down somewhere?
In the old brain, yeah. You gotta know that.
In the old brain.
In the old brain, you betcha. So net sales proceeds, and then we have net loan proceeds, two different things. Previous page. Well, let's go into the fact sheet here, fourth paragraph. On May 1st, the sellers listed their townhouse for $117,500. On July 15th, they accepted an offer for $114,900 with a $2,000 earnest money deposit payable to the real estate company and the closing scheduled for August 30th. Upper left-hand corner, the closing date, 8/30, closing date. Then we have line 1, $114,900. That's a credit to the seller, debit to the buyer on line 1 for $114,900. Line 1, $114,900. We have a $2,000 earnest money deposit on line 2. Credit, buyer, debit, broker, then a squiggly line all the way down to the bottom. What was this earnest money used for? To take the home off the market. Exactly, to take the home off the market. And why is it called an earnest money deposit?
Good faith.
What's that?
Good faith that they're going to buy it.
It shows the seller how earnest you are to buy the property. Exactly. That's why it's called an earnest money deposit. And which broker holds the earnest money typically? The listing broker. Not the buyer's broker, the listing broker typically holds it. Exactly. Let's follow the money trail here, guys. So I get a contract with the check. And what happens is, and I'm one of you guys, I'm an associate broker, I give that to my broker or the receptionist, either one. Whenever you give a check to your broker, always get a receipt. Get a receipt for that money, guys. I tell you what, things just off my desk, sure it does off of your desk. Get a receipt for that earnest money. And then your employing broker is what? He's going to take that contract and a copy of that check and submit it to the listing broker. And the broker going to present it to the seller, and if the seller accepts it, then we're off and running. How long does that listing broker have to get that earnest money check into the earnest money account?
3 days?
3, that's close, help her out.
Business days.
3 business days from,
Date of contract,
Data received.
no,
date of acceptance.
not date of acceptance, but notification of acceptance. Yeah, from the notification of acceptance, then that listing broker then has 3 business days to get that money into the escrow account. 3 business days.
So what you're just saying is like, okay, I'm the buyer. I work with my agent. We write a contract. I give her a check for earnest money. She sends that to the listing agent.
She probably gets
They
it to
do
her
a counter.
broker.
They do a counter, so they're not going to deposit the check at that point.
Exactly.
So then they get a counter back to me and I accept it. So then you're notified that I accepted. So 3 days from that, you go, I better go deposit this check.
3 business days
3
from that,
business
yeah.
days.
But you mentioned before, Hardy, about from receipt, 3 business days from receipt. What was your confusion there? It's not, what is the business days from receipt? That's for a property manager. They have 5 business days from receipt. Boy, guys, write this down. You're going to have this question on the state exam, just sure as can be. How long does a property manager have to get the money into his earnest money account? 5 business days from receipt. A regular broker, how long do they have to get the earnest money into the escrow account? 3 business days from notification of acceptance. Is Saturday a business day? No, it is. Yes, it is, unless it's a 3-day weekend, like Labor Day and Memorial Day. Then it's not. But yes, Saturday is a business day. And 3 business days for one, 5 business days for the other. Any questions on that?
You said it was 5 days from reception for apartment?
For a property manager, how long do they have to get their checks into that escrow account? 5 business days from receipt. Because property managers are getting checks all the time. You know, a real estate broker, we get 1 check off a deal. That's it. That's it typically.
What was the 3 business days you were saying?
How long does the listing broker have to get that earnest money check into his earnest money escrow account? And the answer is 3 business days from notification of acceptance. Yeah, Josh?
Did you say, I seem to recall you saying maybe a week ago that places that do escrow accounts, like credit unions, were really good? Is that the case?
The complete opposite. You cannot use credit unions. Yeah, we're gonna study that in a couple days when we get into trust accounts. You can never use a credit union for earnest money. They have national insurance, but it only covers people who are members of that credit union. What are the chances of everybody you're working for being a member of that credit union? Not going to happen. Okay, so you're not going to have that. So their mortgages are a great tool for credit unions, but not earnest money. Yeah. Don't forget credit unions. They're a wonderful, wonderful tool for mortgages. They only started doing mortgages about 25 years ago. Pretty new concept for them. And see, credit unions do not sell their notes to the secondary market. The secondary market buys notes from banks, only from banks. In the financing part, we talk about this in great detail. So let's keep rocking here, guys. How about what else? What else in that top paragraph? Anything else? No rip-off fee. I think we're cool. Nothing paragraph 2, paragraph 3. A cost certificate at a cost of $15. No, it's, hold up, guys. Phone just screwed up here. Hold on. So we have a tax certificate, a cost of $15 was purchased. Please collect on line 16. This is the tax certificate. On line 16, $15 debit buyer, credit broker. We're back to double entries again. What does the tax certificate do, guys? This is what the tax certificate does. Remember this word. It shows us the condition of the taxes. Not only how much they are and if they were paid last year, but the condition of the taxes. Is it in a special taxing district of any kind? So a tax certificate shows us the condition of the taxes. Remember that word, condition. And the paid taxes for last year were $956.30, $956.30. We put that on line 17. They were paid for last year on line 17. Line 18, you're on your own. Let's prorate that. Prorate that. There's your timeline. Here's your platform. Lay it on me when you get it. You guys should be getting this now. I told you when you should be getting it. It should be starting to sink in now. Especially if you took last night's test, that test number 1, that should have really brought you to another level.
I got 634.04.
634.04.
I got 631.42.
631.42. Get your own. Don't trust anybody. Okay, a couple of you got that. I should be getting a lot more than just 3 or 4. At least a couple more, guys. What'd you get, Kathy?
634.04.
Who needs a minute?
Me.
Okay. Who else?
I got 631.42.
Okay, several of you got that. Okay. Well, let's do it. We got our platform. We're just looking for one number from January 1st to August 30th, correct? How many days in January?
31.
February?
28.
March?
31. Oh, 31.
April?
30.
May?
31.
June?
30.
July?
31.
August? 29. What's that come to?
241.
241. And That is the right answer. How many of you got that? Look at that, just about all of you. It's happening, guys, it's happening. Okay.
yes.
What's that?
That's what I was doing wrong. I had the wrong
What?
closing date.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Chris?
I didn't do that one because I was still thinking about where that 2,000 goes. So we,
The 2,000.
56 for line 17.
Okay, guys, look at this. What Chris got hung up in is there's an outstanding assessment. This is a special tax. They put in, could have been they put in sidewalks, they paved the street or something. You have what? Ad valorem taxes. That's what these are according to value. Every property has ad valorem taxes. But sometimes you have special taxes too over and above that. Because like I say, they came in and put new sidewalks in, or they paved the street, and then they put assessment on everybody else's property. That's beyond the ad valorem taxes. Those are two completely different taxes. But they're right alongside of ad valorem taxes paid first. The first thing that's always paid in case of a default are the taxes. The ad valorem taxes, then the special taxes. They go right alongside each other.
So that 2,000 would be a debit to the seller.
That $2,000 on line 20 would be debit seller, credit broker. Debit seller, credit broker for that $2,000 on line 20. That's a special assessment. That has nothing to do with the ad valorem taxes. Two completely different things.
Thank you.
Sure. And on the state exam, there's a question about that, where special assessments are paid right in the same priority as ad valorem taxes. And what's ad valorem mean again? According to value. It's Latin for according to value, ad valorem. Okay. And please pay the seller's attorney's fees in the amount of $275 and the buyers for $325. Let's put the sellers on line 8, the buyers on line 9. Debit seller, credit broker, debit buyer, credit broker for those attorney's fees. Now,
Jim, before we move on from the, that tax assessment from that 631.42.
631.42.
Sure, so that's line 18. And
That's on line 18, and that's what? We knew before we started it was going to be what?
And that's a credit to, or that's a debit to the seller.
Debit seller, credit buyer. Yeah, remember the timeline tells us what we're doing to the seller. Okay, now, it says August and September's homeowners' dues totaling $156 must be remitted. They were due in advance, and the seller didn't pay them. So now we got a problem. We have got, it is for August and September, we've got to do what's called a double whammy. I call it a double whammy. We have to figure out what the seller owes and also figure out what the buyer owes. The seller owes, he should have paid it back here, but he didn't. So we got to collect it from him today. So, play around with this, guys. We're going to do two figures on this.
Okay, I'm just throwing this out there. I got 76.68.
7668. What about the other side?
On the other side,
Get both sides.
yeah.
Yeah,
I thought typically, if there's only like one day left in the month and the seller is selling and they have an HOAP, that they would just pay that whole month,
Or is
the
this
whole
regular
month's
calendar?
fee, and then the buyer would take over the
This
following
is
month.
regular.
That's
the
regular.
question was, if it's like the last day of the month and the homeowner's fees are due, who pays them? Well, first of all, were they paid in arrears or in advance? If they were paid in advance and they weren't paid the first of that month, then you have to collect this amount from the seller. And these association dues are for 2 months. These are for 2 months' dues. And so normally association dues are 1 month, but this one's for 2 months. So we're gonna have to charge the seller for this part, the buyer for that part.
I got the seller 74.16
74.16,
and the buyer 81.84.
81.84. Now, both of those together have to equal 156.
Is it 156?
Yes.
Okay, because on my sheet, it has a little parentheses, not the number one.
Yeah,
It says
it
56.
says 56.
It
Well, it's
has
got a bracket.
parentheses.
Yeah, it literally has a dollar sign, and
bracket.
parentheses, and then 56.
It's a bracket facing the dollar sign, it's not a parenthesis.
So.
Okay, let me have Jen correct that while you guys are working on this and get that squared away. It's 156.
Okay. So, I mean, for this up here, all I did is I took.
Got 365.
Okay, this is for the 956 one.
Oh,
Yeah, but like I was writing up, so I had 156 here. And so I just got this to be 29 days
right.
times 156 divided by, and I was thinking, if the seller's only paying for this, we just divide it by.
No, the whole dollars. Yeah, because the 156 goes across those 2 months.
So then this would be all.
That's, you got that right.
Do you think it'd be over 59? 15 months? No, not days. Days.
What is that date right there?
This is 9:30.
So I'm not sure.
So how many days are between 81 and 930?
I believe 59.
59.
Well, if I did 30, I thought this would like
The thing is,
No.
pour off into the other day.
August is 31, September is
What number goes to the left?
61 days.
August is 31 days? Oh, well,
Closing is at 8:30.
oh,
So I did,
okay.
Closing is at 8:30.
Okay, so that would make it 60. Or, what did you say it was?
61.
August is 31 days. But like,
September has 30.
yeah, but like the thing I was thinking is like, how many days is it from 8/1 to 8/30?
from 1 to 3, I did 29.
I know that. How does that make sense to you if you're saying the 61 is all the days?
Dude, how many days are in August?
80, 31,
All right, how many days are in September?
30.
So 30 is 31 is 61. What's throwing you off is you're looking like that is the month end.
Yeah,
That's not. You got 31 days.
we have one more day.
So there's your total days.
Okay.
But the days that this man owned it was 29 days.
So what here is like
Oh, okay, and then the days this man owned it was
today.
30, because there's an extra day in August,
Plus,
plus,
Oh, okay, that's what I was gonna ask you, because I was thinking it was the
plus, what, how do you know? What?
No, I thought it was just the 30 days, that's why I put 31 the first time. But then you said, I think I heard you say 32 days, but because I was thinking, I wasn't counting the extra day where it's August the 31st. I just thought from 30 to 30.
if you do it the normal way, you say the number of days in August is 31.
Yeah,
Minus 30, because that's the day of closing. So
Okay.
there's 1 day. But because it's on the right-hand side of the equation, you add a day, so it's 2 days.
Oh, yeah, you
September's
just-
30.
Okay.
So it's 32.
so you just always write, yeah, I remember that. So this is 32? Okay, let me just try, so it's 31
I
originally.
was close to your answer,
You're on
but I
the right
had
side,
31
so you have
days
to
at
add.
first. I had the 61, but I had the 31 up here.
Okay. Then it's gonna, they're all divided by 60.
you don't even have to do two equations.
60.
You just do the one and then you subtract it.
Okay.
That's true.
And you know, on the test,
Okay.
I did it myself.
No, I know. No, I know. I believe you because I did try it with the 31 days first.
I noticed that too. Every time I round out, I get paid.
But it was really close to your answer, so I'm like, maybe I'm off a day. So that's,
It didn't.
What's throwing me off is I thought it was 60.
can you help me because it sounds like you know.
Are we taking a
Yeah, he does.
So I guess
61 and all that. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you understand that there's 61 days?
Yeah.
So how many days is it here?
29.
Most of it.
And then how many days is it here?
Okay, guys, need some more. Who else?
Same thing,
What'd you get?
same thing as,
Right here?
yeah, so
That's what I got too.
Okay. Well, let's do this then. Let's figure out how we do this. Let's do our platform. Let's do this one first. How many days do we have altogether? We have 31 days in August, 30 in September, so 61 days, 156. On this side, 1 from 30 is 29 days. 29 times 156 divided by 61, and 74, 16 is correct. Good job. And if you're confident with that, you can just subtract it from there and get it if you want to. But if not, 30 from 31 is 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 30, 32 days on this side. And so this is correct. So what we're going to do on line 32 is we're going to debit the seller, 7416, debit the buyer, 8184, and credit the broker, 156. Again, debit seller, 7416, debit buyer, 81.
Why are we just using the water and sewer thing just to?
Just scratch that out. Well, yeah, this is for HOA. Scratch that out and just put HOA because we're not using that line for anything else.
32.
So debit seller, 7416, debit buyer, 8184, credit broker, 156. That's what that line looks like. Now in the state exam, guys, you're going to see at least one or two that are going to be double whammies like this. One of them is going to have May 10th as the closing date. That's one of my prorations for the state, and that's my birthday. Now, on that particular, there's two of them on there that are May 10th. One of them, all four answers, there's only one that has the double whammy. You don't even have to work on that one. It's a freebie. I just gave you a freebie. Three of them just have one answer to it. There's only one that says debit seller, debit buyer, credit broker. So on that one, you don't even have to do it. Look at May 10th and say, oh, that's the one Jim was talking about. Now, the other one is a double whammy on May 10th, but there are two answers that have the double whammy. So you're going to have to work it out and figure it out. But they're two very much different than each other, so it's a very easy one to figure out. So both of those May 10th you should do fine on the state exam.
Jim,
Yeah.
just a quick question. For some reason, I was under the presumption that because it was, the end of the month, that the buyer would be paying an extraordinary amount, and then the seller would be paying an extraordinary amount, and then the buyer just be paying a little bit because they get it at the end of the month. So is it that they get it at the end of the month, they have to pay for the whole month?
Well, yeah, see what happened. The question is, why is it done? Why didn't the buyer just have to pay for a couple days? Because he didn't buy it till the 30th. Because it's a 2-month policy. It's a 2-month policy, not just a 1-month policy. If it was just a 1-month policy, yeah, that would look quite a bit different. But it's not. It's a 2-month policy. So we're going to charge the buyer from the day of closing to the end of next month.
That's what I got hung up on.
Yeah, just kind of think it through, and yeah, you're going to have one or two of these on the state exam. The ones I saw the other day when I took the exam, both of them, they were May 10th. So you'll be able to nail them. One of them I just gave you a freebie on, so don't let them get you.
These are the ones I know how to work.
Good.
I wish they had a circle had a freebie.
The circle had a freebie. Okay. And the sellers have agreed to pay a 6.2% real estate commission. 6.2% of 114,900.
712380.
And that's on line 37, 71, 23, 80. Debit seller, credit broker for the commission. And then we have the closing fees. It's $150. We're going to just write that in on line 39. Write it in, closing fees on line 39. We're going to debit the seller 75, debit the buyer 75, and credit the broker 150. This is what we're charging, that's what this lady is charging to do the closing for us. And typically the buyer and seller pay for it. Heck of a deal for us. Now, here's a question coming at you. If on the contract we do not state who is paying the closing fee, the brokers get stuck. If we don't put down on a closing statement or in a contract, excuse me, who's paying the closing fees, the brokers get stuck. So, $150, I pay half, the other broker pays half. That's $75. It's not going to ruin your day, but nice little half night on the town, kind of. So, again, you want to make sure you get that right. Okay. Let's do this. Let's take a 10-minute break, and when we come back, we'll be doing test number 1. Hopefully, you all had a chance to complete that last evening. And if not, you have about 10 minutes to work on it.
Yes, can I ask a question?
Yeah. Sure.
What are the uniform credits and debits for sellers, buyers, brokers, and lenders?
What are the what now?
Any uniform debits and credits?
What are the uniform or universal credits and debits? Ask yourself, who is benefiting from it? That's the universal code. Who's benefiting from it? They're the ones who are going to pay for it.
Yeah, I think, but